I've been using the new iPhone day in and day out for the last 6 weeks, and over those 6 weeks I have learned that I am not going to review it with the mindset of trying to figure out whether or not it's the best phone on the market. And I'm not going to be like many other YouTubers and compare it to the original iPhone of 2007. Instead, I'm going to compare it to something much more realistic. I'm going to hold the comparisons to the iPhone I used daily until just 6 weeks ago, the iPhone 6s. For those of you looking to make the upgrade for your aging iPhone from 2015, keep watching. I'm Connor Mitchell, and you're watching Dragon Rider Network's review of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most notable thing about this specific iPhone, the screen. The screen on the Pro Max is much larger than the iPhone 6s that I have grown used to over the years. The change was very similar from going from the iPhone 5 to the 6s. When I first talked about the iPhone 6 Plus all those years ago, I had very different opinions than I do now. The larger screen size is a godsend when it comes to watching videos, looking at and taking pictures, and playing games. And a big part of what makes that screen so amazing would be the lack of a home button. I used to think it would take a while for me to get used to not having a home button. It took me all of 2 days for it to become second nature. Not only does the lack of a home button give you a larger screen, but it makes the apps feel much more immersive. This might sound weird, but it feels like you're holding a device that's specifically made for whatever app you're currently running, instead of just holding a device that is showing you an app on a screen. Moving on to the back of the phone, you will find the camera, or in this case, cameras. This is without a doubt one of the best camera systems on a mobile phone I have ever used in my life. You can use 3 different zoom focal lengths. You have the standard lens, the 2x zoom lens, and now you have a wide-angle lens. Having 3 different zoom lengths comes in quite handy when you need to get a little bit more reach, like when I saw a sea lion at Fisherman's Wharf waiting for food, or when you need a wider shot of whatever you're looking at. To give you a sense of how each zoom compares to another, here's the wide angle, here's the standard, and here's the 2x zoom. And just for fun, here's the 10x digital zoom. The digital zoom causes the quality to fall apart, but it still comes in handy if you need that extra zoom and don't require a very high quality. Video is also great. It's not quite the same wow factor as photos because I still bring my trusty GH5 with me when I'm planning on shooting video, but it still does wonders. The video I was able to shoot was of the Stanford and UC Berkeley marching bands playing against each other over at Pier 39. I didn't plan this, but it made a great opportunity to see how the camera for video would be able to handle in real situations. Safe to say, it did amazing. And believe it or not, the most interesting camera on this device isn't even the one that looks like an electric stovetop. It's the front-facing camera that not only takes great pictures and video by itself, I'm not even going to dive into what I think about the term slow-fi, but it also packs in Face ID. It took almost no time for me to get used to using Face ID as my method of security on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It's just as fast, if not faster, than the times I would use Touch ID when unlocking my old iPhone. The only time it gets annoying is when I'm outside wearing sunglasses and it needs me to constantly remove them in order to recognize my face. But other than that, it's a great feature to have, and I feel more secure knowing that there is nobody else on the planet with a face that could unlock my phone. Well, almost nobody. Not many things surprise me anymore when it comes to technology, and I say that as we are living in the same time as Rick Deckard in Blade Runner. However, replicants and flying cars have nothing on a battery that lasts for a full day. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is some of the most amazing battery life I have ever experienced. It used to be that just for the day-to-day use, I would need to carry around an external battery pack for my iPhone 6s, just so it didn't die in the middle of the day. Now, after a full day of heavy usage, including messaging, taking photos, YouTube videos, and the biggest drain of all, FaceTime, I bring the iPhone 11 Pro Max home with plenty of battery life to continue throughout the day. Now, understandably, this improvement in battery life is not only because the iPhone 11 Pro Max has exceptionally better battery life than previous generations, but also because the battery in my iPhone 6s had deteriorated over the years. But for many of you, this could very well be the same case, in which case, you will be experiencing the shockingly amazing increase in battery life should you upgrade as well. Now, to jump into the issue that has divided the tech world and set comment sections on fire, the headphone jack. Or, in this case, the lack of. I am not here to argue the case of the headphone jack as I have already given my 2 cents on the issue. To me, arguing in favor of the headphone jack is a lot like arguing in favor of the CD-ROM. The iPhone 6s was the last iPhone to have the headphone jack, and yes, I still have many headphones that can use a headphone jack, including my Bose Quiet Comfort 35 headphones, which are some of my favorite headphones of all time, which when the battery would die, the headphone jack would be a great way to get some music if I forgot to charge the actual headphones. But now that I utilize headphones like AirPods and bother to charge my wireless headphones before I plan on using them, I don't even notice the lack of a headphone jack. Wireless is the future, and when provided with a halfway decent pair of wireless headphones, it's clear to see why. If you do miss the headphone jack, you always have the option of the dongle. Finally, it's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to acknowledge because everyone else has to deal with it too. The notch was one of the things I thought I would hate the most about the new generation of iPhones coming out lately, but it's more or less something that you notice when you first change over, and then it becomes like your nose. Always there, but somehow you have learned to look around it instead of at it, unless someone points it out to you. The truth is, I would have preferred it not existed, but I was willing to compromise for the ability to have a slightly smaller bezel and those cameras and sensors still be in place. Besides, the rumors are pointing to Apple ditching the notch by next year, so maybe in another few years, I will get my wish of no notch and an edge-to-edge screen. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is not the end-all be-all of iPhones. 5G is still being held off for future generations, USB-C is missing despite the Pro name, and that notch is still going to be with us for the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean this isn't a halfway decent phone to upgrade to if you are facing the fact that your iPhone is on the verge of being marked obsolete. For those of you who have gotten an iPhone in the last year or two, this probably won't be the most meaningful upgrade, and I would hold off to see what Apple has in store for 2020. But until I upgrade again in another few years, I will certainly enjoy the ability to take near DSLR quality photos in the dark, and the ability to view them on a phone that has the battery life to last an entire day without a charge. Sometimes, the future isn't all that bad.